Welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka. This is a place where we help you unravel social constructs, discuss self-development in line with mental health, emotional well-being, and everything in between that directly or indirectly affects us in the millennial world around us. If you're hearing my voice for the first time and are the kind of person who is not scared of being a better version of yourself even if it requires you to contradict who you were 24 hours ago, consider this your virtual home. I'm your host, Navguzi Chwanuka, and I cannot wait to engage with you in the various conversations. On this week's episode, we have the one and only Timothy Jjumba Omar. He is a radio imager, producer, voice artist, and the co-founder of the Recap Brand House. How he ended up in the radio industry and his dreams for Recap Brand House is what makes up this episode. He further shares insights about how best we can learn from society. Let's go. The episode has various moments in which we use the Luganda, so listeners' discretion is advised. Omar, welcome to Hashtag with Navguzi Chwanuka.
Thank you.
And I'm calling you Omar because just a few minutes ago someone was calling you Omar.
Hey, it was me by that name.
Before that, I knew Timo.
Actually, he's my friend, a lawyer, who calls me that. Mm-hmm. When I go to my in-laws' house, some call me Omar, some call me Tim.
Really? Mm. I thought they would stick to Omar most only.
Uncle Omar.
Yeah.
Some call me Omar.
That's different.
I always tell them that's a name for thieves.
Oh no, don't do that.
I was like, Omar, see, I have a beard.
No.
I don't like.
I know an
Omar with loud letters like T.
But you have T.
I found it.
You're Timo.
I found it there. I love silent names.
Omar is silent?
Yeah, there's nothing loud about the name.
Oh.
What is loud? O-M-O. But T-S, those names I don't like.
Your son's name is a T. Yours is a T, surely.
Because I don't want to be confused. Even now I'm confused about the second name of this my second son's name.
So on social media, and when I say social media, I'm mostly looking at TikTok because I think that's where you're mostly active. Mm-hmm. I've only tried to check out TikTok and Facebook. Facebook didn't have much that someone can keep up with. TikTok has you as Timo. You said Pan last time. Timo Pan the chat.
It's Porn, but Pan the chat is how it is pronounced. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even porn is actually true.
When you say just porn, it sounds.
Porn.
Sounds.
Yeah, I get it.
Sounds wrong when you say it alone.
Or maybe that's why they change it to Pan.
Oh, Timo Pan the chat. Which charts are you on?
It's a name. It's just a name, maybe. But I used to say it a lot. So somebody always said it a lot. So I got attached to a name because definitely he would call me. Mm-hmm. Every time we would be in the studio record, I would say it eventually when I was singing. I said, Timo Pandi Chat. So he always said me, Timo Pandi Chat. So the name got there.
How long back is that?
27. 2007, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really, the teenage. How did you manage to stick with that? See, during the teenage, you pick those cool things that, people want to identify you with, but later on you just throw them. I had one, but I'm like, please don't call me that thing again.
The cool things by then that I picked maybe was sagging my pants.
Yeah.
Maybe the dreadlocks.
But dreadlocks in 2007.
Yeah.
You had them?
2007, 8. Yeah, I had them. I cut them off.
In school?
Because by 2008, I was done with the actual schooling.
Oh, yeah.
So from there, 2008 and 9, there I had dreadlocks. Cut them off. I grew them again. I eventually cut them off in 2014 again.
Ooh, that is just yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting into the conversation without people really understanding who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
Can you please introduce yourself before we go any further?
My name is Timo. My actual name is Jjumba Timothy Omar. And most people know me as Timo Pandichat.
Yeah.
Some know me as Tim, my friends. Others know me as Jjumba. So, but Timo Pandichat is what most people know me. I am a radio producer. I'm a voiceover artist. Yeah. I am a father. I am a husband.
Yeah, you don't want to omit that. You don't want people saying, please give me this person's number.
You know. Yeah, so I'm basically that. So I work with the Recap Brand House, and I am the head of production at Galaxy FM, as well as the head of programming at Galaxy FM.
And your position in Recap Brand House is?
I love production, so I stay there.
You're just the production person in the Recap Brand House.
Yeah.
Not even the founder?
I'm the co-founder. Actually, how Recap came about is I had a friend who had a company. Still there. So I would get some gigs, and it would be like I didn't have a registered company, so I would go through his. Eventually, at some point, actually, why we don't talk lately is he stole my money through his company. When they paid, it was actually in COVID. I was registered, but I wasn't done. In 2021, I think.
Oh, just last year.
Yeah. So, but some things like VAT were not done by then, so we had to clear up some things because we're sometimes lazy to maybe finish up some stuff, or maybe also some companies consider your time in business. How so? Money went through him. You know, COVID, when someone steals like 4.9,
it's a lot.
So it dropped on his account, and it was like, it hasn't dropped. So I sent him the slip. The other guy sent me from the banks. You guy, the money dropped on your account. So it was like, okay, how can I access the bank because it is COVID and all that? I told him I have access. I will come. I will drive you to the bank. Which bank? I told him even if the bank is in Gulu, I will drive you. So I reached his home, and he didn't look ready to move out. I was like, why aren't you ready? So he was like, okay. The money dropped on my account because I had a loan. The bank took that money. I was like, okay. And you didn't tell me, so every time you've been telling me money's not there, I can't access the bank. So yeah, but I got the inspiration to actually be more active. But where the recap came in, the name came in, is my wife was always telling me, but Netim, people take you for granted. You need to have something like where people find you.
Your own space.
You're so easy on people, even though they steal you. So you're like, okay, you need to find something that will really, you need to be bold in business. You need to come out like a person who is qualified to do business. People go through other people to get to you, so you need a channel that's yours. So we came up with the name. That was it was 2017. Came up with the name. We registered actually, but basic registration.
What do you mean by basic registration?
Then, like, you register your name and the company, and then you
just left it at that.
Yeah, the company is registered and all. You don't even. We didn't even go further in registering the like say bank what.
Yeah.
All that happened after that incident. So we eventually came up with Recap, me and her. But as life moved on, we got another partner. He's called Bob.
You've talked about yourself as the person that started being called Timo Pandichat when you were doing music. At what point did you leave music and then get into production?
I left music as a producer for music. First of all, I was an artist, like a musician. Then that is when I got into music. When I got into music, as I was doing music, I was also learning from my friend called Imon. I would learn. So we got equipment from some guy. By then he was called Karure. He gave us his equipment, but eventually he told us to pay it off. But because personally I didn't have money, so Imon's mom would pay the machines until they got done. So we got the machines. Karure took some. So we started our own studio. By that time, because they were studying from Buroba, the studio was called Exerian. I don't know what that means.
Is that what you called it, or you found the name?
Records. But because a big bunch of the other people that we were working with came from the same school, Buroba.
Okay.
So we were like Exerian Records. So after that, I think we got to a neutral name of Southside.
Southside.
Yeah. So we were into business as Southside. So I think I was actively there from 2007 to like 2012. But between 2010 and 2012, we had a trip to Congo. And that trip is where we wanted to at least get some money to revamp the studio. So when we got into that, we basically had the money. We got the money. We bought the machines. We got the better space. The studio was looking nice. I think by that time was one of the best looking studios around. Decorated.
Where? The best where?
We actually put the studio in Nasana, in Uganda, of course.
Oh, the whole nation.
At that time,
and you moved
Steve
around.
Had the same, we would go to Steve Jean's studio. You know, he's a guy who.
Wow, that was a master.
Yes, so we had this. We had the same lighting. The iMac, the speakers were Alesis, but it's one of those brands that are trusted.
Yeah.
The recording room, you know, it was like really a huge studio. But the guy, the girl that we were working with eventually said it was her machines. And she started bossing around.
How did that happen?
It happens when, you know, they say when you bring in someone who is not part of the art or part of who is not passionate about the business, it's most likely that they will look at the money issue than the passion.
Right.
So I think that's what happened. She eventually started bossing around because she was well off, better than us by far. So even the house, we were in a full house when we shifted to Nasana. And the house was her mom's house, so mom shifted. So she became bossy. She wanted everyone to listen to her. By that time, I think you know me, I let me leave that. I have so many stories. So I'm that person who wants peace.
Right.
So one of my guys came around and was like, "But you're disturbed." Studio would be open late. I wake up very early. At least by 6, I'm always early. So I would wake up early, go to studio, mix, but then she would move with the keys.
Oh.
So no eventually they would come.
No one had access.
She was a girlfriend to Imon, so they would come with Imon at like maybe even 2:10, whatever time. Or maybe sometimes they wouldn't even open.
There weren't spare keys?
They would take every key
to allow
the
access
studio.
to the people that...
So people would come, bounce. So one guy told me, you know what, you need to find something that you can really do as a person. And we had some arguments in there. So I was like, okay, I'm done with studio. I'm a guy who is very, very patient. I can say with a person that I know that is crap or very bad person, very, very bad, but I can know how to live with them. But by the time I say I'm done. So I told them I'm done with the studio. It's a lot of work. She said, no, you let him be, he will come back.
Oh, she was not even willing to do better.
She was like, he will come back. He needs us. So I resorted to dreadlocks. I used to, artists would come there. I work on their dreadlocks. We were partnering with Imon's sister. She's called Joanne. We started a life, but like a month or 2 weeks after, someone called me from Kingdom FM. He was a friend that would help in production. So,
in the other studio that you had come up with?
No, he had his own studio. He's a son to a pastor called Chiganda. And Chiganda owns Kingdom FM. So we would go and help. I don't know how, but
how long back is that?
Still 2010.
Kingdom FM is that old?
Yeah. Kingdom FM was
I just got to know it a few years ago.
Yeah.
I just got to know it a few years ago.
It's been there for a while.
Back then, I only knew Capital, KFM. And
you're too English.
CBS, maybe. CBS, oh come on, CBS.
CBS is like, you cannot say you don't know CBS if you're living in the central.
Even Star FM was there. I don't know if it's still there.
One of the longest serving radio stations, so it must be.
You're also not sure.
It's there. So we went in there, and he told me my father is looking for somebody who's experienced in both music and radio. So I go to Kingdom. I'm like, but radio, I'm not so sure, but we have done some adverts. We had done some advert for, what do they call that soap that they use for cleaning?
Which soap is that? Liquid soap?
Liquid soap called Jira.
Oh!
So we did an advert back then, and we did also a visual. We were, by the way, a bunch of boys that were very creative. If we got on a project, we would definitely pull it off. If we stayed together even up to now, I think we would be better than Fennon or Swang side, I think.
Yeah.
Because we all had different ideas, and then we brought in somebody who split us up. Like everyone ran different ways. Like, we can't deal with that woman. Imon stayed with the problem. He said maybe he would get.
The way how you're saying it.
He would work on it to be better. I was like. My guess was right. I was like, no, you should move on. Actually, when I went to Kingdom, I went in as an intern. So they brought in Ronnie from Kabozi to take us through. That's when I started my radio production, and I remember staying like 2 months without doing anything because I was in shock. I was, what do they call it? I was in some mental state that wasn't stable. I was like.
Was that after you walking away from the studio?
Now I've gone to Kingdom FM. So I was like in a state of, will I even handle? I'm so used to the music way. Things were hard. Effects were hard. Everything, the guys were shouting, Kingdom FM. I was like,
yeah.
In my mind, I was like, things should be smooth. Because at home, we used to listen to Capital.
Yeah.
Maybe CBS, or at some point Sanyu, or even Dembe FM came as a soft Luganda station, an urban, and KFM, Kazora, that's what we used to listen to when we were young. So these guys are shouting. So eventually, that's how they would do, like that's the way their imaging would be. As a guy, he just died recently. I don't know why that guy died. He's called Hannington Christopher. So he would sit on the chair and he would say, Kingdom FM, Pastor Chiganda, come here. Like,
was that during prayer or?
No, he was partly a pastor, so I understand his vibes. And he would do it like, say, Simba would do it. I was like, guy in a power. But my first time voicing, when Ronnie told us, okay, let's have something, I was like, we guy,
yeah.
Like, yo. But Chiganda was patient with me. Actually,
Chiganda the pastor?
Yeah, he's the director of the radio. So every time I achieve something through radio, I'd be like, if this guy gave me space. I didn't have the papers from school. He just accepted me as I was, and unlike other people, he paid me like on time.
Yeah.
So I actually called at some point and I told the guy, you know what, I think I should do. He always has Christianity focus. What is it called? There's that prayer for end of the year. So I would be like, when I was in Bali, I called the guy, I actually sent a message on WhatsApp, on Facebook. Like, can I please help? And I do the production for the ads that will run. Because by the time I had gotten better, of course, if I would do them, then why not now? So like, can I do something for Chiganda? The guy helped me, so I need to like maybe pay back. He never replied. I tried my other attempt again. They never replied. So I tried again when my friend Josky was there. He said, okay, yeah, that's a good idea, but we're in a lockdown, so I think nothing happened. I'll try again this year. I must do them. Now I feel I should do an ad for him, or maybe for free, yeah, however much, maybe they can even be 10.
Oh, like something, thank you so much for bringing me to this world.
Yeah. But
is he aware that you're trying to make...
I don't think he would even notice it is me when I go into his face. I think it would be...
Oh, really? It's a long...
I had dreads, and you wouldn't meet him occasionally, so... But I'll try maybe to go to his office. So that is when I started radio production. And I remember my very first gig of an advert was Seroma and Kinkizi Uganda Limited. So they took me to Seroma. And the lady, because I had dreads, I hear she's, what do they call them? Mulokole. Yeah. She was like, Mutabani kakati, sinemvirizachi, tomanjaga munange. I was like, no. But
even Jesus had hair. I don't know why people miss that point. Jesus had long hair.
Do you know the real Jesus? Maybe he had a French part.
Man, just shut up.
Nemusesa. I think that's the image maybe people portray.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what should I do now? I did the ad. I used the musical background to sing their jingle. They're like, wow. Now from then, I don't think there was a person at Kingdom who would do ads, because there was a station manager called Anne Nachans. So every time somebody would do an ad, she would say, take it back, Kawai Jjumba Academy. Meanwhile, at Kingdom, they never called me Timo Pandichat or anything like that.
Right.
I was like reinventing myself into a whole new person. So they would call me Jjumba. And I remember at Kingdom, because I stayed some long time without doing anything, there was a guy called Nayaman who would chase me out of the studio every day. He would say, Fuluma, he would maybe thought I was a musician. Until they told him, no, this is the new guy, the producer. So two people, Chiganda, okay, first of all, Clyde, who called Imon. And Imon told me, oh, now call watch Chiganda. So I was like, okay. Then Chiganda for accepting me as I was, with no background of radio. And he told me, okay, you can start from here. And actually brought in somebody who taught me how to go by radio production. I don't think he did much because I was already a producer, but he mentored me well. I am glad I went through. He used words that would tell me. And then the Hanningtons, those guys that I started with, Gerard, there was also another guy that introduced me to the urban way of radio production. He came in as a PD by then. Yeah.
PD meaning?
The programs director. But he knows product. Actually, he's one guy that if I have a project and I am really scared, I call him.
To date?
Yeah. I say, just...
You have projects that scare you?
Yeah.
Like which?
Not scare me, but...
Like voicing projects?
Yeah.
Really?
Like, how do I go about like imaging projects? And I'm like, I need to impress. I think I need a refresher course.
I know.
So I call him. Even at Galaxy, if I need to do something at least new, I would call him and like, let's put the brains together. What do we do? Because I believe you never stop learning. And for me, I believe he learned and reached there.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Maybe he also goes ahead to learn new things every other day.
I don't know, but I never ask him something I doesn't know how to do it.
Oh yeah?
So he's one guy I always, if I have a project, and we've stayed in touch. So those people stayed with me. I didn't stay long at Uganda's studio because radio, because I went there 2020, I think 2011, then 2012. I'm not so certain, but I stayed there for 1 year.
Oh, just a year.
And I was famous at the station, so people would look out for me. So I put in my resignation because I had an opportunity with USAID to go around radio stations teaching them about radio production. We had
in a year you had gotten that far that someone can actually hire you. Not even someone. A whole international organization was calling you to train people.
It's about connections. It's not about yeah, this comes after, but you must know someone somewhere. So it was my friend,
okay.
Bambi. I think my friend called Mark. We don't talk anymore, but yeah, he eventually did something that, you know me, I stay with people. It's always my woman who says, I'm like, how? Because I'm not a person who looks at people in a certain way. I'm like, that's cool, that's okay.
Doesn't that often lead you in danger? Dismissing the truth or reality?
Yeah, a lot of times, but I am a person who is mentally like, oh, so it happened? Okay, let me move on. And my wife is always like, you didn't know, you didn't see. I didn't want to even say, I would say that. So it's like that. So we went there, but from being paid, if I do the maths together, I would be paid like 400, 200 as salary, but then 60,000, like 420.
420,000
shillings at Chiganda's radio.
And then when it came to the USAID?
They were paying me 1,012,000.
That was a monthly scale?
No.
Whoa.
That was the money that would take care of me in the field. But they would get a hotel for us, so it was only for feeding.
Wow.
And then we would get like 2M.
You really had to resign.
After the project, we'll go so in the field 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Project was longer. But my dear, I didn't stay there long.
Why?
Stayed there for 4 days.
Why?
Because some of the one girl who was on the project didn't know anything. And where she came from, you see, everyone came from, say, a radio station. We had Kafumbe, we had Martin. He's a big guy. He's a consultant in radio all over Africa. He's got Martin Semakula with him, then Mark. So many people from other radio stations. But this particular girl was brought in by a person, by the manager of the station, who was her husband, and they had messed up at the radio station where they had come from. So what you needed to do was, because you said would go to your radio station, it was easier. Hey, we have somebody who was working with you here called Jjumba Timothy, so you would run the campaign easily because you already know and you know the people there. So when they went to Ruth's station, it was bad news. Like, people like, man, they had stolen, they had done so many things at the station.
And how did that mess up the USAID
so
project?
They were like, how sure are we about the other people?
Really?
Please hold the whole campaign. We will definitely get back to them.
Oh.
So I had to stay home.
After resigning?
Yeah, so Kingdom called me back. Why don't you come back?
Oh, they called you back.
But I was like, no. You said you will call me back. And it took a year. I wasn't working. I would look around for jobs in very many radio stations. I remember I went to Metro.
So
I went to CBS. I went to Metro. I did for them jingles before. Took them there. The receptionist was so harsh. I don't know why those people. I don't know why people who receive people feel like they own the companies, but
well, they're the ones who see everyone who walks in.
They should be polite.
I know.
So I left my CD. I was like, I want to get in touch with Abike. Okay, because Abike was the guy then, was the PD, I think. So I left my CD. But all of a sudden, when I heard the station again, isn't that my jingle? They blocked me from seeing the guy, but they used them.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was like, okay.
Without pay.
So I was like, okay. I looked for jobs and I wouldn't see any, and I didn't want to go back to Kingdom.
You didn't go to them and ask that they get you paid, or at least stop running.
If the receptionist can block you, so who do you go to? Police?
Yeah, but then police.
I'm too shy to go to the police about.
Too shy. It's not about shyness, though. It's about looking for justice. But then it's also
I was like, so eventually I was always in touch with Gerard, the guy that I found at Kingdom. I remember one time my friend called Jafia told me, you know what, I've been working in Somalia, so you need to cut off the dreads.
Oh.
And then we will be like, how do they call those people who do always are they Marines who take care of the pirates?
How do they take care of the pirates?
Like you protect the guys on the waters from the pirates. So he was like, yeah, that's what I do, but it is not scary. We can always. I was like, okay.
How is that not scary?
I was like, I'll get back to you. My uncle told me, there's a shop in Katwe. I have a friend. They will pay you, but you need to cut off those dreadlocks.
Oh.
I was like, no way. So everything that came from my dreads, I'll be like, because that was the second time I was growing them, and I was like, no, I've come this far again. No. So I was speaking to Gerald. He said, you know, Mayanja was the engineer at Kingdom. Yeah. So I told him, you know, Mayanja is here. So he was telling me there's a station in Soroti, but me, I cannot go there. You call him. So I called Mayanja, and he was like, Gwemavidi. That's what we used to call me. Yeah, I'm very okay with whatever someone calls me because I am a bully. I bully people big time.
Really?
So, yeah.
How does that work if you're shy? And if you're shy, then how are you?
I'm a big bully. And I've realized a lot of people, I don't know how, but people just fear me like I am a big bully. So I am okay with someone also trying to feel like they are bullying me. I'm like, where's Mavidi? Hey, where are you? Can you work in Soroti? So he told me, okay, this is the guy's number. Call him, because he was sure of what I would do. So I went to the guy. He's called Charles Muhwana. He's the owner of Step FM, Open Gate FM, and Step TV in Bali. So we had a TV and 2 radio stations. One that would be the urban station, and then so like a radio one, not a radio one, okay, a Capital and a Kabozi. He's a rich guy. So I went to his office. He sat down. He's so tall, so tall. I told you need to go to the place, and if you like it, it is in Soroti. Will you work there? I said, like, I went there for a visit.
Visiting the station.
And wow, station guys has a big building, has big studios. I was like, oh, I can work here.
You were to go there as a producer as well?
Yeah, as a producer. So after like 1 month or so, I went to Mbale from 2014 to 2016. But in 2016, like in the middle there, he wrote in a letter. We had said like 6 months. He was paying on time, like 24th he would pay. But again, it took us 6 months. He had some issues with URA. So 6 months without pay. And then he sent in an email saying like, I'm cutting your salaries. I was like,
whoa, after not paying for 6 months.
I wrote back and I said, please, I'm resigning. I resigned. By that time I'd met Rashida for now like 2 years. So Rashida went back home. We wrote, me, my friend called Jjumba Omar, all the guys.
Rashida was working with you?
She was working in the TV. That's why we met. So eventually there I had gotten into the station. I had done a lot of things. I had changed a lot of things as a producer. I was having one of the biggest radio shows, morning shows. I learned, but eventually I don't know. Maybe people were even lying to me. The show was big, and I was also doing one of the best entertainment shows in the region on TV. So I'd come from radio, then go to TV, then do radio production, then do TV imaging. So I was
desperate to keep that person.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of things at that point, but I was doing them also to learn. I was preparing myself for maybe the future, so I would venture into everything. The only thing I wouldn't do, maybe I wouldn't go out. Not that kind of person. Started partying at a young age. So
And you retired early.
and I was in Bali at 22, 23. I was already tired of the nightlife.
You retired quite
So
early.
Shida went home. We all went home, put our things on the car. He thought we were kidding. He actually even sent in the money when we were moving. He fidgeted, I think.
Sending the 6 months pay?
Yeah. Well, like, okay.
So wait, that 6 months pay, was it also deducted?
No, it wasn't. But he was
that was
saying
the full
he's going to
payment
cut this.
after 6 months payment.
Number. Hey, this guy, I'm looking for an increment. He's saying he's putting the money down. Because I was doing a lot of things. Being the head of production, I would do production for Step. Would partner with Alan, but we would help each other. But I would do for Open Get a loan. I would help Alan in Step. We would do a lot of things. We would create a lot of things. So it's like this guy, yeah. So in all the people he called, there was a guy, the head of marketing, was like, Kati Jjumba Omar. I would also go into trafficking. Like, so eventually he talked to me. I told him triple my salary, then I go back.
Triple, not even double.
I said what? I said triple. So he tripled it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and I told him, if I'm going back, you will need to pay me end of month. I don't want to wait. He said, okay. So he told me, don't tell people that you're coming back. So by that time, people were like, some would call me Dimo. You know Bagisu. T is like D. Dimo. Some would call me Timo. So they're like, what is Dimo? Dimo, you guys have fired him. So I went back without telling. I only told my friend called Ambrose. I only told him because that is where I was going to stay. So because I had a house here where I would live with Shida, so I wasn't so attached when I went back. So I was like, I'll do 1 year. I'll mentor these guys to see that they can hold it without me. And I went back. And then in the morning, people were like, you're back.
Yeah.
But they knew I had talked to the boss. Maybe I struck a deal, but they couldn't know.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, they were right, but they didn't know.
Yeah.
So they would pay me, and the people would stay like 4 or 3 months, but I would have my money on mobile money actually. Because if you paid through the bank, we had people who would tell people at the station, but why is this guy getting money when you're not? So I'll be there, and the message would pop up, toot, 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 toot. I'll be like, okay.
You guys were having the same bank? You're all banking with the
same bank. And that's how we moved. So I said 1 year. During that year, I would wake up every day, look for jobs. Every day.
Really? You just knew you weren't meant to be in that space? I
woke up every day and I researched jobs. And I would write to people. I remember I wrote to Isabidi. I wrote to Metro again, Habike. I sent in the samples. I wrote a lot of people, Capital FM. What?
Was there a moment when this Habike person talked about how they might have used your work without caring to
I told him in the email, but he never cared to respond. I even called him. So before I went back to Mbali for the second time, I also went to Sanyu, but eventually the guy, I went in as a producer. Then I don't know what happened. They told me to just take samples of my voice. So I was like, okay, eventually, yeah, because Sanyu and the English with me, we don't connect. So I went.
But you
wrote to Galaxy.
You speak well.
So I went to Galaxy.
Yeah.
I wrote to Galaxy. Actually, a friend wrote to Galaxy. I told him, you write. I just attached my samples. So the manager called me. He's called Ashraf. He called me. And are you the one who's doing this? I was like, okay, yeah. So come by at the station. I told him, you have to wait. I will come on a weekend. Okay. So by that time, they had announced the job that I was 5 months late, but the producer wasn't found yet, I guess.
Oh.
You see, radio producers are rare. Perfect radio producers.
Perfect.
Or good radio producers.
Do you feel like that's something that people think about, especially if they're sort of in media? Do you feel like there are a couple of people? Is it a competitive space? It's not.
Because you would find that a radio station has said its producer for like 10 years. That's not competitive. And you also know that producer is not the best they can have. So as Recap, we are trying to create more radio producers as much as possible. Producers who understand the game better.
Yeah.
So That's what I am trying to achieve. I want to bring back the real radio of having a producer, because if you listen to radio stations and how they sound, their imaging, you'd feel like they're lacking a lot of things. But because they are settled with that, maybe the bosses don't even tell. Like,
do you feel like people understand the word imaging? The very first time I saw the word was from you, radio imager.
Don't.
What is it really?
It's
in simpler terms for someone to understand.
It's a picture of the radio.
Picture of the radio. What is that like? So what is the picture of
It's the logo
Galaxy?
of the radio being said.
That is a brand?
Yeah, it's the brand. With imaging, it's branding, but audio, you can image with pictures, you image with visuals, you can image with voices. So the imaging, the radio imaging is how you want your radio to sound. Mm-hmm. And it deals with production of the jingles, how the presenters sound, how the music is played. That's all imaging. So most
how the music is played?
Yeah, which kind of music must go with a certain image.
Oh. Mm.
So I believe so many radio owners don't even understand it. As long as they hear their jingle, like, oh, this is this, and they're like, some know, but they're hesitant. It's expensive, first of all, or they feel they have been with this other producer so much, so they can't even tell him anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is imaging the same as, because when you come to content creation, they usually tell people to find their niche. So is that like a niche?
Yeah, radio has to find its niche in imaging and how it sounds, so that it's identifiable. Someone can listen and, oh, that's Galaxy. Yeah.
Right. Because I think I've had some moments when I'm listening to radio, I'm like, that's CBS. Or maybe I just know the presenters. I don't know.
Even that also is part, like, according to the way the presenter speaks, that must be CBS.
Oh, you go as far as how someone is supposed to speak.
So most radio stations here are identified by presenters, not the imaging. Most of them.
Ooh.
Like, oh, you titiya yogera, oh, ya mukunja, oh.
Yeah.
But when you go to the imaging, there's nothing to pick. Like, there's nothing that moves with people. So it's like that. Yeah. So I went to Galaxy, I wrote, and apparently I found a line of people who had lined up. So they had gone
for the same position?
Yeah, they had gone through the drills of who should be the best producer. So when I found them, I was like...
And you were coming for day one?
So some short guy called Nalebos came in and who is first? Everyone looked at themselves. You go. So I was like, let me go. Just like 10 or 7 minutes. I did a jingle. I remember I said, we give you the best music at Galaxy FM. So I did a jingle, music non-stop. I think I did that. This is 100.2 Galaxy FM. And that's what I did. And I left it. So as I was heading out, I found a guy called Kim. He told me, wait, guy, what's up? You might know nothing. So I realized, I said, okay, let it be a fair war. I left the jingles, the effects. I opened him for him Adobe. I told him, do you know how to run it? So I went. So because I had a job that was paying me well, so I was like, even if they don't give me,
I still have my job.
I went home. So early morning at 7, Ashraf called me, the manager. Hey, Jjumba, I think the team liked your work, so come for the final. So I was like, okay, I was even leaving from Bali, let me pass by. I went there. There was an ad for Amnesia, Galaxy. Amnesia is a sister company to Was.
Amnesia, the bar. So, at first when you mentioned Amnesia, I'm like, wait, what? Because I'm now thinking about the disease. I'm like, wait. Then I remember there was a bar.
So Shiba was doing a video premiere there. So they told us now, today is an ad for Amnesia. If anyone does it better. So, but all the guys that were on the list, they showed them my work. So they if you can beat this guy.
Really?
If you can beat this guy, if you can. So everyone, until the last guy was.
And they knew who this guy was?
They actually,
it's just the voice?
No.
They knew.
They saw me because we were sitting there. Like,
how did that make you feel?
I knew later. I feel I've worked for it. There are people who are better than
when
me.
When you're the point of reference, what does that make you feel? In a room?
I'm like, I put in my effort.
Yeah.
It's not anything that comes easy. So I'm like, I put in my effort. So yeah, my effort is counting it. I don't feel so special, but I'm like, I put in my effort. So eventually they tell me someone else had thrown my demo away. So they had to recall. There's a brown guy. I don't even like people telling me I'm brown.
Why don't you like it?
Like, there's a brown guy. What is his demo? We had listened to it, but now, so they called me back with another guy. He works now for NTV. He's into camera. He's called Milo John Paul. He told me, now I can't go, but so I did the ad. Same process. Who is faster? So I went there, I did the ad. So as Milo went in there to do his, I was negotiating my salary.
No.
You understand? So I negotiated my salary, but electricity could go on and off the whole day, so he didn't do anything because he wasn't experienced. He wasn't a radio producer, so he didn't know anything. He didn't know much. He spent the whole day with redoing something.
People were still going through the process of vetting, and you were negotiating your salary.
So.
Oh my goodness! Why didn't they just say stop? Let's not waste your time.
So I mean, actually, the very first time when they had my work, I should have told me, hey, if you like, if the team, he had already maybe liked my work, so like the space is here. So if you're ready, me, I can give you the job. So like,
wow.
Okay. So the next day was just polishing. I remember they brought in Zoli Tams. He's a producer to listen. And I was like, okay, if he gets used to a place, eventually I phoned him first. I was driving Nassim to do his workouts. So Zoli Tams was one of the guys in the car. So I was like, Zoli Tams, you don't know me, but may I know you. But you wouldn't sit in my car if you had messed up my gig at Galaxy.
Whoa.
I said, you're the guy? I said, yeah. Whoa. Yeah. So I eventually got the job, and I told Galaxy, you need to give me 1 month. They were like, I thought you were excited to join. I was like, no,
yeah.
I need to go back, and I settle stuff there. So I used that 1 month to settle in my guys. I'm going, but do this. But they were tight-lipped about it. So
the boss wasn't aware.
So eventually I went away, and the boss kept on paying me. I would do his job work for like a year.
No. What were you you were still doing something for them?
They would do the things. They would send me. I said, you'll find somebody. He said me, I think he stopped in like 1 year. But eventually
he still had hope.
He gave me a gig to do some refresher course. I went there, I think in 2020. The first lockdown, when it eased up a bit, I went there to do consultancy there. So I joined Galaxy and moved on. I learned, and I'm here.
You are here. You have also come to Hashtime.
I know.
We have May as the Mental Health Awareness Month. When is that moment that you felt like, my mental health is heavily compromised? How am I surviving this?
I'm a guy who has gone through a lot, but I am a guy who accepts the fate. Like, this is it. Because I'm a guy who didn't grow up with my parents, so that's already a loss.
Had they passed on?
Yeah, father in 96, mother in 97. I grew up with my grandmother and grandfather. Grandfather passed on in 2000. Then my grandmother passed on. She was the person that brought me up in 2011. So that's the biggest loss I've ever gotten in my whole life.
Your grandmother's?
Yeah, I felt it because, I was always looking at taking care of her. Sometimes I'm buying stuff for home. I'm like, I would be sending this to my grandmother.
Yeah.
But that's the shock of my life. The other shock was before my son, the second born. There was a girl in between. So the mother told me she told me, I don't feel the baby kicking as much as she was kicking. So I told her, we are going to the hospital for antenatal on Saturday. But is the baby kicking? Yes. So like 2 days after, we went to the hospital. And they did a scan, and the baby had died from inside at 8 months.
Oh, 8 months.
So that's like something I didn't believe, because we moved from Mukwaya Hospital to Mulago Kawempe until we went to Women's Hospital in the Mulago Women's. Is it called neonatal or something like that? That's where we stopped, because Mulago is fast. They would scan and baby is dead. So you just need to prepare. So that's the shock of my life. The shock of my wife giving birth to someone who is dead. The shock of me carrying a dead body in my car to bury. Have I grown this old? Or am I even, like, I am having a dead body in my car. my child.
Your own child.
But me as me, I accept things as they come. Why it stayed on my mind for so long? Because apparently like 3 people actually at work knew about it. So everyone would see me as a normal, jolly Timo. Hey, Timo, hey, no.
Oh, so
but
you
they would
kept
call
up.
me during those 3 days I stayed away. 4 days actually, or a week. I call you what? Over the children. Because at work, even if I miss, like I go beyond 10, they'll call me, Oliwa. So they would call me Olibulunji. I'm like, I'm fine, I'm okay.
Why?
So keeping up.
Was it hard for you to tell them what you had experienced?
Because even none of them knew my wife was pregnant. The ones that knew are the only ones that I told. I always keep my things that way. People say, actually one of the people at work called Daphne, she's there, and she told me, hey, Timo, you're secretive, eh? And people see you talk a lot, but it's hard for someone to know what happens in your life.
Right.
They know, okay, my son, but they wouldn't know a lot. So I had to be at work as a normal person, but that wasn't the bad thing, because it would help me pick up. But now my wife had to go through the same situation. She didn't bury, she stayed in hospital, so it was all a sad moment, and it took her some time of crying every night. So the task was to get her back to life.
Were you doing that on your own?
I personally think my wife trusts no one but me. Because even something small that you see that she can talk through it with some other person, she says, she's a loner, I would say. She's a person who would be comfortable staying in a house without even getting outside for 3 days. And she's okay, she's watching TV, she's on the internet, she's a person who would stay like a month without going to the shops. So she's that person. She's a person who can stay alone. Like things neat. So also that was a problem. Like she would only talk to me about what happened. So it would hit me. Me, her. So it had to be through us to settle it.
You didn't have any moment where you felt like, I think I need to talk to someone to help us through? Maybe counseling. Was counseling something you even thought about?
Me, yeah. But her, no. She was like, no one will let me know. I asked at the hospital, they told me, so no one will let me know what happened to my boy. It's me or my daughter, so it's something I have to know myself. Even if they tell me, they're not going to tell me anything. So eventually when she got pregnant again, that is when she at least started slowing down until she gave birth. As I told you last time, she asked me, is the baby alive? The moment she gave birth? Even when the baby had cried and she was holding the baby, she was, is the baby alive? Like, yeah. And I think now she's over it, happy with the newborn. Yeah. But it's one thing why it wasn't on me, because me, I'd gone through a lot of losses that I would know, okay, that's how God decided. But for her, it was a really big task. You've talked about the point when you'd come to work and everything was fine off the face, but your inner world was completely different. From that moment when you went through the process and moved away from it, what does that look like as the head of people on your team? Do you ever take time and feel like there's something more behind this person's happiness? Yeah, I do a lot. I talk to people a lot. People tell me what they go through. I am a person who looks at a person and I'm like, maybe there's something wrong. And I think if someone has to trust you with something, they would have to know that at least you let out less of their issues or none of their issues, so they trust. So I guess people tell me because they know I can trust Timo with my issue. And it's not just trusting me with words. At least I take an extra effort to see that at least I become part of the team that will help her recover, or she or him. So if it is financial, I really try to talk to maybe people that what can we do? How can we handle? Yeah. If it's emotional, we really talk much. We light it up. See that it's just a situation that we'll go through.
At the end of last month, we launched an online store for all of us to be able to access our podcast merchandise. The podcast is run on a freemium model, and that means that I do not charge you at all to have access to the podcast conversations. But because I have a few running costs and the goal to acquire a podcast studio, you can support the podcast by purchasing one or even all the merchandise available. Check out the show notes for the link to the store, and if your podcast does not show you the hyperlink, check out our social media pages for the link to the store. Let's get back into the conversation. Do you think society can teach us anything positive?
True. Our society is built with men who don't take care of
families.
That can teach you.
That's where the
when
problem
you grow up, you
is.
need to take care of your family.
But sometimes
don't be like
it's an
your father.
extension. Have you noticed?
Yeah, but if you learn, we learn from what we've seen. If you saw your mother suffering, if you saw your sisters, you'd be like, no, I wouldn't be the same person.
Yeah.
So like me, I know I have a lot of siblings, not from my mother. I wouldn't wish that to be with my kids. Like, no. Because eventually at some lumbe, I looked at a girl and I was like, that girl is beautiful. So she said, hey, you go Jjumba. That's why I don't want to have kids with multiple women. Yeah. So but you learn important. From what you've gone through. If you don't learn from what has hit you hard, then you're a person who is so absent-minded. Your father wouldn't come home. Why don't you go back home?
That's right.
And it hurt you. Your father didn't provide. Why don't you provide?
Right.
You went through the same process. So like if it is a woman, if you didn't take care of your house, your home, you didn't want to have a discussion with your man in the past relationship, why don't you go into a different relationship with a different mind?
Right.
It's about what we went through. If you went through something, of course, if you've seen someone in your society behaving like badly, you would definitely be like, look, we need to change here and there. So people see what they went through and then they want to use it on other people. So my father used to beat my mother. I will beat you. Yeah. Your mother was hurt. If you knew your mother was hurt, why are you beating the other woman? So it's someone taking the bad side really by their choice. You know that stealing is bad and it can bring in trouble. You eventually hurt people in there. You hurt someone. Yeah. Why are you doing it? So do something that is right, that will definitely make you a righteous person. You don't do something because, well, some societies say like ghetto, that's all they see, fights. They feel it is normal. Yeah. Also, sometimes
it also gets imprinted on someone's subconscious.
So, it is normal to beat a woman. So someone will come after beating up a woman, like, when you don't beat a woman, she doesn't know that you love.
Yeah, I mean, we are also in a system where they're telling women you can't live just because. This is in court, just because your man beat you. And it's a
People
mess.
have disagreements every day, week in, week out, but women are not easy people.
They're not what?
Easy people. A woman who's your wife, or who's your fiancé, or who's your girlfriend, expects 200% from you. So the disappointments come from, or her stress comes from expecting the 200% instead of the actual 100%. Like, no, you are my husband, you have to be like this. No, you're my this, you have to be like this. Such brings in trouble and brings in that negativity, that vibe of he's not standing up to the expectations.
Yeah, but I also feel like even men have that. No, you're speaking from the perspective of the man now. I'm speaking from the perspective of the woman.
What men do is expect a woman to understand their BS.
Yeah.
Like, I've stayed out for just a night with my friends. What is the problem? That also brings in a perspective of people not having lengthy talks before they get engaged. Because some women are like, for me, I found him partying, and he tells me Friday, I'm always partying. I'm with my friends. If you want to come along, you come.
Yeah.
That's my life. But most people act differently in courtip and act differently.
And then they switch in marriage.
Yeah. So some people actually don't even talk to their wives when they're with them. Like they're not talking. You see people moving, the other one is in the other, the wife is, how you know they're together? Is when the other one is looking, you're Nariwa. Whenever I always say, when people grow into a relationship, they say, referring to their husbands.
Or the wife.
This one.
Yeah, I've heard it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
what do you want to leave for us?
As I always say, there is no magic in the things that happen in life.
Mm-hmm.
We can always be the best of us or the better people from the ones we've seen, as long as we put in our efforts. You won't gain without putting in any effort. You won't be the best person. No one will definitely look out for you. Maybe if your father was rich, or maybe you come from a family that you won't work for the rest of your life. But again, you can also destroy what has been created. So you need to put in effort. I'm a very bad timekeeper, but I am very fast.
When it comes to what?
To work.
Okay.
So I can always top it up. You know your problem, learn how to deal with it. You don't keep time.
Right.
But some things don't wait. I cannot be late for a meeting. My kind of work, I can say, I didn't do it yesterday, but I can do it in the night.
Right.
Always be able to present your work in time. Always be able to deal well with people, talk well with people, because at some point, people need to feel like you. You need to feel like them. You need to be like them. However much you might at a certain point feel like you're somebody.
Where does someone find your work with the Recap Brand House?
We have a website on www.recapbrandhouse.com. We have an email, production@therecapbrandhouse.com. We have an office. It is in Konge. We are located in Konge, next to St. Denis Church. Opposite, actually.
It's not even opposite. It's like far ahead. It's somewhere.
Yeah, but when you get to St. Denis Church in Konge, you'll definitely call. We have you can call on 0782 693 674 or 0703 52 41 53. Or you can reach out on Facebook, Insta. We're always there. Yeah, Recap.
Okay.
Not me. But I can respond. I don't have any junk of messages.
Yeah.
No. I reply people.
On Facebook?
Yeah.
Via Recap Brand House, or your...
I reply anywhere,
even your personal one?
Yeah. By the way, I can take long to reply in WhatsApp. But Facebook, as long as it is work related, I always answer. I always answer, even in the comments. I always go to people, I answer them.
Yeah. Because
I feel, even though they are not going to take you anywhere, they need to know what's happening. So even if you pass by, even if you go to my profile, Facebook, I will definitely reply what you want to do. We mentor people here. We do radio imaging, radio production, voiceovers. TikTokers are the ones who create content, or anyone who has a TikTok account is a TikToker. They can also check you out on Timo Pan. Yeah.
Pan the
Timo
chat.
Pan the chat.
Because I feel like that is where most of your voice is heard.
Yeah. No, TikTok has 80 videos. That's where most of my voice is visualized.
Yeah.
But
especially on the common platforms that we use.
But radios, the ads, I can't count.
I don't think people can identify you on radio.
Some
Yeah, I think I'm also starting to learn, I know this person.
Yeah. Well, when you get... But that's... when someone knows you in person, and they don't know you, they can never tell.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
What marveled me in this conversation is how Timothy showed us the importance of negotiating your worth, and the fact that when something is meant to be yours, it falls right into your hands and it is upon you to receive it. Because how was this guy let by 5 months but still got the job? What I learned more from his experience is that you can only be lucky when you are ready, because if the other interviewees had the same skills as he did, maybe they would not have been left in line while he was negotiating his pay. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Hashtime with Navguzi Chwanuka. If you loved what you heard, make sure you subscribe to Hashtime with Navguzi Chwanuka in your podcast platform of choice and share it with your friends, loved ones, and every other person affected by the millennial world around us. Also, feel free to share what connected with you on social media and be sure to tag us. We are at Hashtime with Navguzi Chwanuka on Facebook and Instagram, and on Twitter, our handle is at HTNK Podcast. You can also reach us on our email, htnkpodcast@gmail.com. I really look forward to hearing from you. And until the next week, that is the last week of May, remember to learn from your experiences.